So this is a video I've really wanted to do for a while. We've always gone around skirted around the process of registering a vehicle in Spain. There's an overview video which I did recently before I was on a live show, which I was talking to it for an hour about registering a vehicle. You'll always find on this channel or on the YouTooSpain channel that I'm there talking about registering vehicles. But I wanted to do this video about the specifics of actually getting your vehicle through customs. Okay, we've written a document here. This document we send to our clients when they're thinking of bringing their vehicle to Spain. We deal with them quite early on, so we might be talking to people who are coming next year and they're considering bringing their vehicle, so we send them and say, look, this is what's going to happen in customs. Okay, so I wanted to go through the points here on this piece of paper so you're confused. You thought I'd actually written notes. No, I'm afraid this has already been written. And just explain exactly what will happen when you bring a vehicle from the UK or from a country from outside the EU and why you need to go through customs or not as such. Alright, so let's start. Introduction. Why your vehicle needs to pass through customs. We're talking about vehicles from the UK. Before they didn't have to, now they do because the UK is outside the EU. So basically any vehicles that come from outside the EU have to go through customs. Apart from vehicles from Northern Ireland, which currently at the point of making this video, the June 2023, they don't have to follow this protocol. Who knows what will happen in the future, hopefully not. But UK registered vehicles do. When you complete your customs registration, you will get a document called a DUA, and that document stands for Documento Único Administrativo. This document, a DUA, this proves to Tráfico, the DGT, which is a Dirección General de Tráfico, the equivalent to the DVLA in the UK. When you go to finalise the registration of your vehicle, that document proves that the vehicle has passed customs and or has all its obligations either paid or waived. Okay, so you can either pay the VAT duty or you can waive it if you qualify for change of residence. Okay, so that was why. How to present your documents at customs. Well, there's one or two ways. You can actually either go yourself to customs, book an appointment, take your documents there, give it to them, and then if they like the documents, you'll either be given a form to pay the tax and duty at the bank, or you'll be able to waive it, which means you have to go to the bank and present a different form. Honestly, I wouldn't advise you go yourself. There are professionals here in Spain which are called agentes aduaneros, and these people it's a profession. It's a qualified profession of helping people bring their goods and getting it through customs. Now, everybody who registers vehicles in Spain, whether it's us, whether it's a gestor or another company, they will all have a contact who is a agente, who is someone who can assist their clients to get through this process. Okay, so it's something that you would pay for. Obviously, you have to pay the agent around, depending if you're paying for the tax, their fees could be around 150 euros. If you're waiving the tax, around 250, because it's a little bit more involved. But I can definitely say that it's a very good service to employ. You really don't want to go yourself down to customs, present all your paperwork, and then find there's something wrong and risk having to pay tax when you don't want to. Okay, so the customs agents, they work on a traffic light system. So basically what we have to do is, so we can do it from here, is I will request documents from a client and I give them this list, which we're going to go through now. The client then provides those documents. I then go to the customs agent and I name them correctly, format them in PDF, because that's how apparently they like to be uploaded onto the system. And then those documents go off to the customs office, and then the customs office has a traffic light system where immediately, normally when you submit the documents, it goes into amber. Okay, and if it comes back red, it means there's a problem, and excuse me, and normally they explain what that problem is. And if it comes back green, it means your document's ready to download. They send the document over and you can continue with the registration. Red would normally mean that you're missing documentation, or they've found a problem with the documents that you have sent. Maybe you haven't owned the vehicle long enough, maybe they've found out that you lived in Spain previously and you're trying to waive the tax to change your residence. There's a million reasons why there could be a problem, but we're going to go through the documents now that you need to present. So first of all, there is two ways in which you can bring a vehicle in and pass customs. You can either do it for change of residence, or you can do it actually paying the tax and the VAT. Okay, we've recently had some clients who have bought a vehicle, haven't owned it for long enough, but it turned out more beneficial for them to actually pay the tax, VAT and register it in Spain and end up with the vehicle other than buying one here. So you have to do your price comparisons, which we'll do another video on that. Okay, so what qualifies you? Well, first of all, if you don't need to qualify if you're paying the tax, but you will need to have a NIE number, and that NIE number would have to be registered with a tax office. When I say registered with a tax office, if you have an NIE number, if you want to do anything in Spain, you have to register it at the tax office using a document called a 030. Okay, and that basically means you've got an account with them, and then when the customs agent goes onto the system, it puts in your NIE, it goes boom, there you go, now we can pay the tax. If you haven't done that, then you won't be able to pay the tax and you won't be able to do the import. Okay, now for change of residence, it's slightly different. Okay, for change of residence, this is what we're going to go. First of all, we're going to go through the paperwork actually for change of residence. Then we will revisit the paperwork if you're just paying the tax. Okay, so for change of residence, the first criteria is you have to have owned the vehicle for 6 months before you took residency in Spain. Now, this also means before you took a padrón certificate in Spain or registered on the padrón in Spain. A lot of people, non-residents, have registered on the padrón because they were told to. Lots of town halls said, oh, register on the padrón. But as a non-resident, you should never register on the padrón. Okay, so because of things like this. Basically, if you register on the padrón before, customs are going to take that as your first date of registration, and that could be a massive problem. So because you only have a year, to waive the tax. Okay, so when you bring a vehicle over, you must have owned it for more than 6 months, and you only have 1 year from the time that you registered as a resident, that includes registering on the padrón, to actually waive the tax and then continue to register the vehicle. Now I know what everybody's going to say. Everybody's going to say, you can't drive a vehicle in Spain for a year. Yes, we know that. In fact, it's advisable to do this as soon as possible when you move to Spain. But in terms of the time you're allowed in customs, it's actually 12 months to waive the tax on the vehicle. All right then, so what documents do you need to present if you are doing this for a change of residence? Right, well, if you're doing this for a change of residence, there's two things you have to prove. You have to prove where you've come from and that you've actually registered here on the padrón and with a residency card. If you come with a visa, then you're going to have to wait until you get your TIE card to finalise this process. So first of all, the documents that they need to see from you here in Spain, for the documents you're preparing here in Spain, are your residency card. You'll need a copy front and back of the card, and they'll also want to see your padrón certificate, and the padrón certificate must have the inscription date when you signed on the town hall, okay, on that certificate. At times they call this a padrón histórico, a historic padrón certificate. Now, customs does actually have access to the census, the database. We know that because somebody has come to me once in the past, said, oh no, I signed on this date, and then they came back to us, no, we found out he signed on at a different town on this date. So they evidently know, they're going to check it. But make sure you get a padrón histórico anyway, which shows the time and date that you signed on to padrón. Well, it might not show the time, but at least the date. Now, that proves you've come to Spain, you've got the original vehicle documents, you have to send them a copy of that as well. Evidently, a copy of your passport. So customs can see, oh, brilliant, okay, this person, they've moved, they've owned the vehicle for more than 6 months, they've registered in Spain at the town hall, they've got a residency card, and their passport is in date and valid, which is your ID document here in Spain. Okay. But now they're going to say, well, let's prove that it really is for change of residence, and where have they come from? And this is the bit that shocks people, if I have to be honest. Okay, so customs first of all want to see that you have left your fiscal status in the country of origin. In the case of the UK, what we've found the best way to prove this is by filling out a P85 form, which is actually advising HMRC that you're no longer living in the UK. Evidently, if you have an accountant in the UK, or you have a fiscal representative or somebody who looks after your taxes, then you need to just consult with them first to make sure that you're doing the right thing at the right time. Because filling out a P85 has the benefits that it allows you to waive the tax for your vehicle, but then on the other hand, if you get it wrong, you could have tax liabilities elsewhere. So we definitely would say, if you haven't got a tax professional or you're coming from the UK to Spain, definitely should get one. And always try and find out when the best time to fill out your P85 is. Evidently we don't do tax, so we're not talking, can't talk too much about that, but we would say that that document proves you've left UK fiscally, and they always ask for that, the customs agents. Okay, we need further proof as well, so we're going to need proof of where you used to live. So we're going to need council tax bills. You can use anything from water, gas, electric, internet, council tax, insurance, any other proof that you've come from the UK, you are living at the address in which you declared you used to live at before you came, helps. Okay, so it's not just the P85, we have to send all sorts of other proof in. Right. What else have we used on those fronts? We've definitely used electric bills and water bills which show usage from the country of origin. We've also used letters from councils to say that somebody has now given up their obligation to pay council tax. It's quite hard to get hold of these letters, but anything that you can collect which proves where you've come from helps with customs, because as you can imagine, customs does not like giving away money and tax. Okay, so there we go. So what else have we got here? Document quality. This is the best part. Document quality. Document quality. Well, if you're sending documents to us or a customs agent, you have to remember that that's going to end up on the desk of a customs agent who's probably not very patient. So if they can't read the document, or it's a dodgy photo that's been turned into a PDF, they're not going to entertain it and they'll just reject it. So the quality has to be good. All right. So if you're, just to recap, if you're waiving the tax on a vehicle, you can bring it over for change of residency. You have to get your proof that you're registered in Spain, and you also have to have the proof of where you have come from. More the better. So the reason I'm saying this is because if you're planning now to move to Spain, start piling the documents. You know, keep a little folder over on your computer, or physical documents, your electric bills, water bills, council tax bills, anything that relates you back to living at the address where you've come from. It's a good idea to keep it. Okay, we recently did one for a client who I know watches the channel actually. They came back and said, we need further proof, and he just came in and bombarded me with all sorts of bills and stuff. We put it together, scanned them all, put them together and sent them across, and within 3 minutes we got the cuts. They could quite evidently see. There's no rhyme or reason, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the next thing is paying the tax. So what happens if you want to bring a vehicle and you want to just pay the tax? So you don't want to waive the tax for change of residence, you just want to pay it. Okay, well, if you pay it, you can. Now the way they calculate it is there's a document here called a BOE, Boletín Oficial de Estado, and this gives a base price for the vehicle. Now, they reduce this price by the age of the vehicle, so there's a scale, so you don't always calculate taxes on that new price. Alright, and then you pay 21% VAT and 10% duty on that price. By the way, the duty has VAT on it as well, so once they've calculated the duty, they also have VAT. If the vehicle is under 5 years old, they may ask you for proof of purchase of the vehicle to calculate the price as well. Once you pay the VAT and duty, you'll then get the DUA document, and you can continue with the registration. One thing I would say about that is check the technical requirements of the vehicle at the ITV, because we know for change of residence there's no need for EU conformity, But for non-change of residence, you have to have a conformed vehicle at the ITV, or a vehicle that fits into some of the smaller categories, like corresponding to a vehicle that was manufactured in Spain, or it's a historic or something like this. So but definitely check the technical requirements before paying any tax at all at customs. What else have we got here? We've said about tax office registration. Yeah, a couple of things. You'll be asked to sign a form like this. This form basically allows the customs agent to act on your behalf. There we go. And that's about it really. So yeah. Oh, and you may be asked to sign this form. Don't forget, you cannot sell, if you do it for change of residence, you cannot sell your vehicle for 12 months after you've registered it in Spain. And quite often they ask us to send in a declaration that you have signed that you will not sell that vehicle for 12 months after you've registered it in Spain. Okay, so there we have it. All vehicles from the UK, aside from Northern Ireland, have to go through customs. Vehicles from outside the EU have to go through customs as well. If you are paying the tax, make sure you check the technical requirements before you pay it, because the last thing you want to do, pay the tax and then go to the ITV station and realise that you can't pass an ITV test and it's a waste of money. If you are coming over for change of residence, be very due diligent of the documents that you're preparing before you come. All the proof of where you used to live, along with the proof of where you've registered in Spain, will allow you to waive the tax and drive your vehicle here. Okay then, well look, thanks for watching again, and we're going to do a couple more videos on the vehicles, get a little bit more in depth, and we will write an article on this as well and stick it on our website. And for anybody who's interested in registering a vehicle, you know, the earlier the better that you contact somebody. I don't care if you're not looking, they're coming until 24, 25, 26. You know, I'd rather send information out to potential clients now so they're well prepared, so by the time you come to Spain, you know exactly what you need. It's a lot easier than getting here and then having to scrape the documents back in the UK. So keep watching the channel, please subscribe over here, or wherever the subscribe button is, and we'll be back soon.